President Cyril Ramaphosa says women no longer feel safe in their homes as rape and abuse are rampant. He was speaking at the launch of the Declaration Against Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, as well as the official opening of the Boys' Magistrates Court. ENC reporter Masego Ratlaga attended proceedings and joins us now live here on set. Masego, give us a bit more detail on what the President had to say today.
Well, Mbegile, gender-based violence is a topic that has been spoken about for years now. We've seen many marches against, what they say is the scourge of this violence. I mean, we've seen the cases. You and I have read the news, have covered the stories, court cases of these cases. And what he was basically saying as the president is that he wishes as well to see a South Africa that is violent-free, especially of, violence against women and children. And what he was saying he hopes to achieve with, the launch of this court is, for victims to be able to be comfortable. For instance, in the courtrooms, there is a room behind every courtroom. There's a room for child victims or survivors, rather, who will be able to be comfortable in that space so that they don't have to be in a formal setting of a court and to face their abuser or their alleged abuser while it's still a trial anyway. And they're able to testify in the comfort of what looks to be a playroom. So that's what the court is about, and what the president is saying he's hoping to achieve here, at least before achieving a non-violent South Africa, is for victims to be able to feel at home, for that whole re-victimization or secondary victimization not to happen anymore. And that's mostly the complaints, once there is that case that is reported. Most of the time the case is, giving the victims the dignity and the professionalism. But let's hear what it is that he was talking about in that case.
The character of a country can be judged by how that society's most vulnerable people are treated. We have heard the pleas of survivors of gender-based violence that they would like to be treated with respect by our criminal justice system. In opening this new sexual offences court, we are affirming the right of the women and the girls of our country to be treated by the criminal justice system with dignity, with understanding, with compassion, with professionalism and empathy.
Masego, the President talks a good game. The government is empathetic. It wants to act against the abuse of women and children. A lot of activists were present at today's event. How did they receive government's promises, and do they believe that this court will live up to its intended purpose? And on another side of this, when will other parts of the country get similar courts?
Well, Mbegile, for the activists and particularly the survivors of gender-based violence, some of them who are there, actually their cases are still going to even start. What they're saying is that, they appreciate the fact that, cases of gender-based violence and abuse against children have finally been taken seriously. And a court like this proves that. But they're also saying that, on the other hand, it's a very sad realization and a very sad fact to accept that we have to even build, 242 million rand buildings or facilities to deal with cases of gender-based violence and cases where people have to go for, justice in that. So they're saying that, while this is good, it also tells you where we are as a country. And in terms of courts, that, more courts like this being built, definitely, Mbegile, a total of about 500 million rand was spent, 240-something for the court in Boysens, and another court is actually going to be launched as well in the Western Cape. And these are the two places in the country where you find a lot of these cases being reported and a lot of backlog of these cases. So definitely we'll see more. What the president also said is that actually this court is the 84th to be opened, of such court to be opened. But what's different with this one and the rest that will follow is that, for instance, the missing of files and excuses of the missing of files every time a case is supposed to conclude, that will come to an end, Mbegile, because there's now technology as well to make sure it's saved in a cloud.
I imagine a lot of people listening to this conversation saying, about time. Masego, thank you.